Hello and welcome to Walk the Talk. I am Shekhar Gupta and it's my second conversation in just over a year with a wonderful friend of mine and a great Walk the Talk guest, Hussain Haqqani. Hussain Haqqani, welcome back to Walk the Talk.
Pleasure being here, Shekhar, as always.
Last time we had a conversation, people said it was like you guys were just having fun.
I think we will have fun again today.
So, we better sound more serious than we did the last time.
Oh, I think you can be serious and fun at the same time, Shekhar.
So remember last time I told you that all my Pakistani journalist friends have become Mushir or Safir or Wazir. That is advisor or minister or ambassador. And you've become all three. Now you've become a fourth. You've also become a scholar and academic.
Thank you very much. I guess one should keep reinventing oneself.
Heading Hudson Institute, very prestigious. So what do? You look after Pakistan, India, AFPAC, America?
Well, basically, what we are trying to do is we have a program on South and Central Asia, which I'm directing. And the idea is to try and study how South Asia fits into the new globalized economy, as well as how this region can actually contribute to global growth rather than being an outlier.
It's been a long journey for you from the back streets of Karachi.
Absolutely, very, very long journey. But I think, I have not arrived yet.
You keep on getting younger and younger, and unlike the rest of us.
I guess I stay away from things that make you older, Shekhar.
Well, like the air of Delhi.
Perhaps, although it hasn't had much of a bad effect on me, except a minor
we'll try and get
bout of allergies.
Try and get you here more often. But Hussain, that is the other thing. We've seen our elites change in our lifetimes. Because both of us don't come from where elites are supposed to come from.
Sure.
Right? I call people like me HMTs, the Hindi medium types. So you are a Hindi medium type, you're an Urdu medium type.
Absolutely.
So this is the unknown, relatively less known part of your life, because now everybody thinks you went to Pakistan's equivalent of St. Stephen's College and Oxford.
Actually,
Cambridge,
I didn't.
Yes. So no, I said now anybody would presume. Tell us about yourself. Just growing out of the back streets of Karachi, being under Jamaat influence.
Born in a Mahajar family. My family's roots are in Delhi.
Right.
Migrated to Pakistan in 1947, trying to struggle to establish themselves in a new country. Several children. I was number 5 of 6. Studied hard. Was influenced by Jamaat Islami as a young child, because that is what our neighborhood knew. And then grew into student politics. Entered journalism.
Far Eastern Economic Review.
Far Eastern Economic Review, which is when I met you for the first time. Then worked with Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif before he became Prime Minister, and a little bit for after that. Served as ambassador in Sri Lanka, and then realized that my better fit was with Benazir Bhutto, with whom I worked till her dying day.
Yeah, and served as ambassador to America at a very vital time.
I served as ambassador to the United States at a time of not only complex relationships between Pakistan and the United States, but many interesting events happened at that time. Mumbai happened while I was ambassador in Washington, which had implications for US, Pakistan and India relations. And Osama bin Laden was found in Pakistan at a time when I was ambassador. So yes, I dealt with the trickiest and toughest questions in US-Pakistan
And
relations.
then you effectively got exiled on charges of treason, which were never quite specifically leveled, but through innuendo.
They've never been formally leveled, but it's a very peculiarly Pakistani thing that you create an air about someone without really charging them. So I am now an academic and published a new book called Magnificent Delusions, which I look forward to presenting to you at the end of this interview, and hopefully you will read it.
And a Pakistani patriot.
Absolute Pakistani patriot, a Pakistani who realizes that my country comes first and that I should be with my country, right or wrong. When it's right, I should support it. When it's wrong, I should correct it.
Yeah, and a Pakistani patriot who believes in better relations with India.
Absolutely.
More than you ever did.
More than I ever did, and more than that, Shekhar, I really think that the crux of many problems of Pakistan comes from this feeling of eternal animosity towards India. We wouldn't maintain such a large army if we didn't think that we were constantly under threat. We wouldn't be such a paranoid and xenophobic nation if it wasn't about our so-called rivalry with India. And we wouldn't be so dependent on America if we weren't always looking for arms from America to compete and fight with India.
Because I just noticed that your Prime Minister has again said that he needs American help in solving the Kashmir issue, problem, whatever you call it, masla?
Ironically, if you read my book, which is now available in India also, Magnificent Delusions, I point out that that request was first made by Pakistan's first Prime Minister, Haqqani He, in 1949. And it was repeated regularly by several Pakistani leaders. That brought us nowhere. Americans could not solve the Kashmir problem. They could never bring India around to accepting what Pakistan wanted. And at the same time, all it did was made Pakistan more and more dependent on and resentful of the United States.
And it became a self-fulfilling tragedy.
It has become a self-fulfilling tragedy. Now, ironically, more Pakistanis think the United States is Pakistan's principal enemy than they think India is Pakistan's principal enemy. So the country we went to solve our problems with the other country is now seen by more and more of our citizens as the enemy.
It's also a little bit of jilted lovers or sort of abandoned lovers resentment.
It may be so, but they weren't really lovers. But that is not felt on the American side, because the Americans never thought of Pakistan the same way.
They are a superpower. I don't think they have an emotional attachment to anything.
Exactly. I mean, it would have been better for Pakistan if Pakistan had taken the route that South Korea did. It used American assistance, and by the way, South Korea got less money from America than Pakistan did. Pakistan has received $40 billion in 60 years. South Korea has received 15, but they used that to build up an economic framework. They spent 10. I mean, education comprises 10% of their GDP, educated their people, and in the process, now you know what? You are probably using a Samsung phone. Somebody in Delhi is driving a Hyundai car. They have become a major manufacturing nation. We are still dependent on a $1.5 billion handout from the Saudis or $500 million from the IMF at any given time to be able to keep our accounts going.
And I remember at one point you imported God knows how many Devu cars.
We did.
Under that famous or infamous yellow cab scheme.
We did, and the point remains that the cars were made in South Korea, which took the other route, and we still ended up being the net importer, the net dependent nation, and the nation not necessarily identified with innovation.
And if I could take it forward, and South Korea then did not worry so much about liberating the northern side with American help. They focused on themselves.
South Korea's basic focus was, how do we become a modern nation? How do we
and compete with Japan?
And compete with Japan and possibly avoid being gobbled up by China. So the whole idea was, we do that by becoming sufficiently strong. Now economically, they are strong enough essentially to be a country that has to be reckoned with by everyone. In any case, the manufacturer, the producer, the innovator always has an advantage over the person who's asking for a handout.
Yeah, and if you open the borders, you know who will go which side.
Oh, absolutely. If North and South Korea open their border, people from the North will go to the South. There's hardly anybody from the South who wants to go to the North.
We, India and Pakistan, are the most uncivilized people in the world, the South Asians, because we have distances that we have created amongst our people are even greater than North and South Korea, East and West, Germany. Even the Israelis and the Jordanians have found a way around getting people to visit Jerusalem.
Well, yeah, but you know, here is the problem. We sometimes settle for too little also. We allow the process to become more important than the substance. So I was at the Jaipur Literary Festival in January, and one of your former foreign secretaries was saying, well, India-Pakistan relations are getting better because 10,000 Pakistanis got visas this year to come to India. And I turned to him and I said, do you realize there are 6 million people in Pakistan who have cross-border relationships, family relationships in India? If out of those 6 million, only 10,000 can visit, then this is not necessarily a very good state of affairs. But look, let us be honest.
In fact, people are not able to come for weddings, for sicknesses,
deaths, of relations, and not only that, forget about just the people who have relationships, economic ties. Most countries that have done well economically in the world are the ones whose biggest trade is with their next door neighbors. United States, its biggest trading partners are Canada and Mexico. Similarly, you go to East Asia, most of the trade among the ASEAN countries is amongst themselves. Europe, most trade is among the European nations. What is the situation between India and Pakistan? We don't trade as much. And we do not have, for example, the kind of rail links that would allow people to go through. Pakistan needs to stop thinking of itself as a nation that is sitting at the crossroads of conflict, but start thinking of itself as a nation at the crossroads of opportunities. Look, pipelines, oil pipelines, gas pipelines from Iran, from Qatar, from Central Asia, running through Pakistan into India, roads, highways, trains, Central Asian trade, Middle Eastern trade. We could be so much more important. And you, in India, would benefit as well, because the rise of Pakistan and having a prosperous neighbor will actually make you feel much more confident as well, because very frankly, even if you are able to achieve 10-12% growth down the road, as some of your leaders wanted, and yet you have neighbors.
I'm not sure all our leaders can count or calculate, but they want it nevertheless.
Well, maybe amongst the things we can do together is to try and teach them how to count.
Arithmetic. They know arithmetic of numbers in Parliament. But
Absolutely. But the point is that whatever the growth is achieved here, even if you do, of course, you've got a long way to go. This is a country that has lots of poverty. But even if you are able to build a world-class economy and become as significant as everybody thinks you will be in a few years, and your neighbors are nations which have serious problems. Pakistan is mired in Islamist extremism. Bangladesh is mired with something similar. Sri Lanka is simmering. Nepal is falling apart. Then you will obviously feel its pressure. So it's in your interest to help all your neighbors become prosperous too.